Hey guys, this is going to be a video about file sharing between Linux and Windows. So this is going to be accessing files on a Linux server using mounted drives on a Windows machine. So stuff like network file systems. It's very convenient. It's the best way, or the most simple way once it's set up to access files on a Linux host. We're going to be using software called Samba, which is one of the most widely used SMB hosts for Linux. And we have a Linux machine that's going to host it, and we have a Windows machine that we're going to have connect to it. So this is a fresh install of Linux over here. I've tweaked a couple things, but it's basically an empty system. So the first thing we need to do is set up the server, which is going to require two packages to be installed. First, we need to install Samba, and then another package called libpam smb pass. And with this, the first one is obviously the server. The second one is a package that will synchronize your Linux passwords with the Samba passwords. Because the Samba server keeps a separate database for your passwords than Linux does, because Windows file sharing handles authentication differently, you need this to synchronize the passwords. That doesn't happen automatically, but if you install this, it will. So that install has completed, so we now have a default installation of Samba server on our Linux machine. So I've switched over to /srv. This is where our shares are going to be. So right now /srv is empty. We're going to make a directory called temp, and this is whatever user you want to be able to connect and access files. If you want it to access an existing folder, any existing folder, that will work too, but I'm just going to create one. You should make sure the user and the group are correct. So in this case, the user and group are temp, and the folder is temp, so temp owns that folder now. And chmod 700 temp. So we now have one folder that our user is going to access. I'm also going to create a shared folder that multiple users can access. So we're going to chmod 777 that folder. So everyone can access the share folder, and only temp can access the temp folder. Next, what we're going to do is configure Samba with the shares that we just created. So edit /etsy/samba/smb.conf. This has a tremendous amount of data in it already. You will probably want to back this up in case you want to refer to it later. But I'm just going to delete it because I've got other copies. And I'm going to post a link to probably Pastebin with this on it. This is a example template. And I'm just going to save that. And here's kind of what it is. This top stuff is kind of a generic template for global configurations. Down here are the actual file shares. So up here you're going to want to browse through this and make sure everything is the way you want it. I guess the top thing, NetBIOS, disable NetBIOS, yes. That just means that you will not be able to browse to the share by /server name. You're actually going to have to type the IP of the thing to actually get into it. That's how I do it, but if you want to be able to browse by server name, you can change that to no. Server string, just change that to the name of the server. Workgroup equals workgroup, unless you have a domain set up. That doesn't so much matter. Everything else is kind of boilerplate. This is set up not to share printers, so if you need to share printers, refer to the original configuration file for some info on that. If you do have printing enabled on Samba and you have printing stuff set up or not set up or misconfigured on your Linux machine, then it can cause the Samba server to hang and lag and cause some weird issues, so I just have it disabled on mine because I don't share printers. And down here we have the shares. So we have temp, this is our single user share. We have the path, writable just says that a user can write to it. Browsable, no. And what that just means is you can browse to the computer like I have here, and it does not advertise that it has a folder shared there. You can still browse in that folder if you know the name of the folder, so if you type in the folder, that's the wrong folder. Anyway, if you manually type it in, you can browse it, but it doesn't advertise it. Valid users, temp, obviously. Create mask, 700. And that just says temp can access the files, but no one else can see them after they're created. The next is the share folder. This is going to be accessible from multiple users, so we have a separate folder for that. Writable, yes. Browsable, no. Valid users equals, and down here we're going to have multiple users separated by comma space. So these users don't exist, but temp does, so it should be able to access that too. Create mask 6777 and directory mask as well. And that just creates the folders that lets everyone access them. So unless you manually lock down the files, they're going to be shareable for everyone. Okay, so I believe we configured Samba, but it's still running with the old configuration file, so we're going to have to restart it. And it's just going to take that new configuration file and apply it. And we're going to set the password of temp, because I believe you actually need to set the password after you install Samba for that synchronizing to happen. I'm not sure, but I'm going to do it anyway. So now the account should be fully synchronized. We have share and temp set up, so let's go to our Windows machine and see. So we do have, we can access the server, Samba's running, and this is take number 2. I already connected to it once and reinstalled Linux actually. But we can access the temp folder and create a file, and it's on our Linux machine in the temp folder. Now if we go to share, new text file, and we have a text file in there as well. And you can see that the file in temp is readable, writable, and executable from temp, but nobody else. No one else has any permissions. And this file in share is accessible from other users as well. So if you have a second user with a personal folder and then give them access to the share folder, they should be able to exchange files just fine. And that's basically it. You may want to go in here and mess with the configs some more. But other than that, we have a working system here. So I hope this helps, and I'll see you next time.